Hi, I'm Charlie Osmond from Triptease, and I'm back to take another look at really practical ways that hoteliers can use AI agents in 2025. It upsets me that there's all this talk and conversation about AI, and often there aren't practical, specific takeaways. So today, what we're going to look at is how you can join up two different tools that may be in your tech stack and connect them using an AI agent to deliver much better performance for hotel marketing. Really, the important thing here is not the specific tools, not the specific instance, but just to give you an idea of what's possible with the AI apps that are already available and very easy to set up. Let's dive in. Okay, so we wanted to help out one of our clients, Classik Hotels. They're a small group of boutique hotels in Germany. And they had a specific issue, which as with many hoteliers, there are periods where they have full occupancy and there are periods where they have lower occupancy. And what normally happens for a hotel is particularly if they're smaller and they're outsourcing their marketing to an agency, the budget is being spent in a pretty similar way month after month after month. And the marketing budget is pretty consistent during the year. However, when you've got a really specific need date, when you know 1 month or even a few weeks are going to be a little bit quieter, or you've got an empty weekend, or you generally don't have rooms filled on a Sunday night, it would be far more efficient for a hotel or effective to be able to spend marketing budget to target those specific need dates. So what I'm going to walk through is how using an AI agent, we're able to join up two different systems the hotel has so that they could automatically spend more budget on the dates where the hotel really needs. What we're trying to do is make it easy for the revenue manager to boost marketing spend on need dates. And in a sense, we want to move from this old way of budget being spent consistently in the same way, day after day, week after week, to a new way where the hotel could say, hey, look, I really need you to fill my rooms on these dates. Please, can you help? One of the challenges we've got with this is to be constantly monitoring revenue and occupancy and then going and talking to a marketing agency and getting them to make changes in bids is very time consuming. It's not something you'd usually do for a small group manually, but thankfully there are now wonderful AI automation tools that can connect up different parts of your tech stack and make this possible. So I want to start by having a look at the process that the hotel will use when running an automation. So the first thing is to get hold of occupancy information. This is currently stored in Classik Hotels PMS. So you're going to go and get that occupancy information. We're then going to have AI assess occupancy challenges, like are there dates in the future where it looks like the hotel might have low occupancy? And the AI is going to make a decision. Do I think that the occupancy issue is big enough and the dates are clustered well enough to actually try and alert the hotel or to ask the hotelier whether these are dates worth boosting? So that's the AI making a decision whether to take action or to not take action. And if the AI takes action, what we wanted to do in this instance, because it's a new system, is actually get it to notify the Director of Revenue Management to just check, do we think that the dates that I've highlighted that the AI has found are likely to be low occupancy? Because often dorms know something that computers don't, right? They maybe know that they're about to close a piece of business that means a group will book. They maybe know that Wednesdays look quiet, but always book up the night before. So that's why we've got a kind of a human in the loop element in this AI process, where the AI is making a decision, but the automation is going to bring in a human just to sense check it. And that's something which can be taken out at a later date, but good to take things one step at a time. And then based on what the dorm does, they're basically able to immediately activate and say, yes, go do more marketing spend on those dates, or no, I don't want to take an action. And then the automation then needs to log into the second system to then boost the marketing to target those really high need dates. So we're going from one system, the PMS, through a process with a bit of AI to identify which dates might be worth boosting. And then if the dorm signs it off, we're going to go into another system automatically and change how much marketing budget is being spent to target those specific dates. Right, that's the process. Those are the steps. And then we had to just go set them up. And there are kind of two tools that I'm going to be using for this automation, which if you've seen a previous video, you may already understand how to use. One is Axiom for logging in and taking actions within tools. And the other one is make.com. There are a whole bunch of other tools that can be used, but those are pretty good ones that I use regularly. So make.com is going to run the overall structure first of all. And basically, this is what that flow looks like in make.com, right? It's holding that overall flow. So the steps are: one, use Axiom, which is another tool which will go to the PMS, get the occupancy data, and put it into a Google Sheet. Once that data is in the Google Sheet, OpenAI can interrogate the data and can look for low occupancy dates. And then if it finds some, it will populate them back into the Google Sheet and say, here are dates I think we need to boost. If a new row is added, then Gmail will automatically send out an email to the dorm saying, here are the dates we think you should boost. And the dorm gets an email with a very simple form saying, do you want to do these or not? And there are many different ways we could have built that, but a Google form seemed pretty quick and easy. If the dorm says, yes, I want to boost those dates, then immediately we make another request to another Axiom automation, which logs into the Triptease system in this case and boosts the marketing spend on those specific dates. So that you saw the process before. This is just what it looks like in make.com, and then we go through and set it up. So here is step one. We are in the PMS of Classik Hotels, and Guestline is the PMS they use. Fabulous PMS. Here you can see kind of a screenshot of all the bits of information and analytics that they have in there. They've just recently boosted their BI tool in the PMS. I blanked out all the actual details, of course, to protect the Classik Hotels data. But you get a sense. So we need to go into the PMS and we need to get the right bit of information, which is the occupancy, because Classik don't have a revenue management system just yet. So there's an availability chart available within Guestline, which you can see here, that shows the occupancy. And again, it shows loads of other data, but I blanked that out. And so you can see there is a line that shows the occupancy for each date. Okay, so in order to get that data on a daily basis out of the PMS, we need an automation. And the tool that we're going to use for that bit of the automation is Axiom.ai. If you've seen previous videos, you've seen how I set that up. I'm going to walk through a few of the steps here. So this is what the Guestline PMS looks like at the login screen. And on the right-hand side there, you see I've just popped out the Axiom pop-up. So Axiom is embedded into the browser, and it's going to watch what I do. So this actions I need to take are to click on the PMS button, to choose from the drop-down list and press go. That's just an example of 4 of the action steps I need to take. So I open up Axiom and I start programming those steps so they can happen in an automated way. The first one is click an element. And you can see the element I want to teach it to click is that PMS button. And so I then say complete, and I've then built step 1. Select that specific element and click it. Now I need step 2. So step 2 is a bit more complicated. I need to open up the drop-down list and pick the correct hotel. So I know the name of the hotel. I'm saying select from the list. That's the list there. I choose it, and Axiom has then learned that that's where I go to select that specific element in the list. So that's step 2. As you can see, we're just slowly building up the steps. Step 3 then is I need to actually press go, enter, so that Guestline goes to the next stage. So that's how Axiom works. We basically build up all the steps you would take as a human on a website, and assuming the website doesn't change, you can run the automation day after day and to just continue it. In the end, this is what it looks like. There were 20 steps I had to build out, entering the text, clicking go. Sometimes you have to, as you can see there, wait for something to happen, click availability, click refresh, and then write the data to a Google Sheet. So a few different steps I took, but it does not take long to build out. So now we have the data out of the PMS on a daily basis. And we can put that into the Google Sheet. And from the Google Sheet, we need to AI interpret which dates do we need a date boost. So now we're in the make.com interface, and this is where you set up these specific steps. We've got the data in the Google Sheet. We want to go get OpenAI to assess it. And so I can click on the element in make.com, and it opens up sort of the instructions for that stage in the automation. So the instructions here are analyze the data and I pre-tagged up the data. Here's data downloaded from a revenue system. I want you to go and carry out this specific activity based on this data, and then assess whether or not any of the dates need a date boost. And so this is just a very simple example of how it works. But then it should push the results back into the next stage of the process. So that's where this is, where it's kind of make.com is a great tool for this. N8N is another one. Gumloop is another one. There are a bunch of these tools that are sort of Zapier-like tools, which now integrate AI within them. So you can have AI steps in a flow. Now, what we found when we did this was that the AI also went and considered Berlin events data. It looked at local competitor offers, and then it came up with specific dates and recommendations. And it gave a score of how much occupancy need that the AI thought they required. And it pulled out, for example, 2 specific ideas for the Director of Revenue Management. 18th to 21st of April, Easter Saturday in Berlin, it looks like it might be quiet, large gap to fill, so it's suggesting that you boost the marketing for those dates. And 16th to 19th of May, very low occupancy, no major adjacent events in Berlin, Sunday nights could be soft, we think you should boost these. And in fact, when we suggested these to the general manager of the hotel, he said the first one was incorrect and he wouldn't boost for that because he was pretty confident that, in fact, Easter would be a sellout eventually. He did, however, think that, boosting May might well be a good move to do. So, the AI is not perfect, and that's a good example of why we have a human in the loop. One of the other steps one could build into this automation is that based on what the human is doing, the AI could learn, right? You could just record back into the spreadsheet, did the dorm agree or turn off, say no to any of the suggestions, and then over time use that as a weighting and a scoring as part of the AI assessment of future dates. Okay, so the email then gets sent to the dorm, and again, this is inmake.com setting up that email. So we're saying, here's the email content that I want to send automatically when a new line gets added in the Google Sheet. These dates are being analyzed. They maybe need to be boosted. Please decide if you want to, and then it links to a form the dorm can fill in. And here's an example of that email. These are the dates to analyze, and you can click here if you want to okay those dates for a boost or not. And then the dorm in here can just, in a Google form, because it was just very easy to set up, it's like yes or no, do I want them boosted? And that's it, really simple. So all the dorm has to do is when they get the email, click through to say yes, or in fact just delete the email if they don't think those dates need boosting. So then the final bit of the automation process is actually logging into the Triptease system, which is where the hotel marketing is happening, and boosting marketing ad spend for those dates in question. Because what we can do on Triptease side is if we see, if we're running metasearch for the hotel and guests are picking out dates that they want in a metasearch search on Google, we can spend a lot more money on people who are looking for those dates. Also, if someone has come to the hotel website and we've seen that they've run date searches for those dates, we can spend more money retargeting those guests if they don't book right away. And also, we can look at audiences of guests that we have in Triptease where we know that they're likely to be booking around certain times based on lead time, based on their location, and we can also boost the marketing spend for audiences. So what we need to do now is take those dates that the dorm wants and transfer that automatically into Triptease. And I know this is beginning to sound like quite a lot of steps. There's a lot to go through. I mean, the first time it takes a couple of hours to set this up, but then it's running. It's then set and forget, and that's what's exciting about it. So similarly with the Axiom for Guestline for the PMS, we build one for Triptease Date Boost that logs into Triptease system as the hotelier and that boosts those dates. And you can see an example of how that works here. So here they are logging into the Triptease system. Again, some of the data here is blanked out to hide it from the video. Goes to meta search part of our system and goes to boost dates. And so here, choosing to spend more money for this particular hotel on the dates that the Director of Revenue has selected. And this is not a human clicking around, right? This is a bot that is clicking around, making these choices and doing it automatically. So the dorm just literally, they got that email, they hit that link, and the rest gets done automatically. And that's it. Now that hotel will spend more marketing budget targeting the dates they really need. So it's a really simple, effective way of using AI automations to just improve the integrations between hotel systems, which I think is something there's a lot of opportunity to do. And there we go, done. So those are the steps. We went into the PMS, we got the occupancy information, we ran it through AI, we involved the dorm to make a decision, and then we automatically went in to boost for those specific needed dates that the hotelier wanted to cover. I think there are many different ways to improve this system. The first one probably is to be using revenue management system data with an actual occupancy estimation rather than PMS. The PMS tells us what's on the books today, but it doesn't actually tell us the likelihood or the expectation around future dates. So there was a little bit of the AI having to make an extra judgment and suddenly become a revenue management system overnight. And OpenAI is not a revenue management system, and I wouldn't trust this to do revenue management on its own. So once Classik, then I think they're adopting a revenue management system as we speak. Once they've done that, we'll be able to do this using the RMS, and that will deliver much better performance. So I hope you found that useful. It was a good example of how to use AI today in a really practical way to drive value for hotels. I've heard for a decade that hotels are frustrated when their systems don't interact very well and don't share data. And now 2025 is here. We can use these AI agents to really help bridge the gap between different systems, and also to be smart and to help us actually run hotel business better. I'm going to be making many more of these videos. If you have any feedback, or if you have any systems that you would like to see an AI agent be built for, let us know. Feel free to get in touch if you have any specific requests or AI questions you'd like answered.